Mickese Bostic, 27, a juvenile detention officer in Birmingham, was run over and killed during a violent dispute with the mother of his children. Weeks later, 38-year-old Jordan Baxter was found shot in the head on a Philadelphia street, his wife charged with murder. 2 homes, 2 families, and 2 acts of domestic violence ended in fatal betrayal. Subscribe to our channel as we uncover their stories.
Yes! That is it!
This guy is funny!
That is it!
Do it again! What these kids?
It was supposed to be a day of celebration, a time for family to come together and share joy. Easter Sunday, a holiday filled with laughter and love, turned into something no one could have ever predicted. Mickese Bostic, a father of 5, was known for his kindness and dedication to his children. But that day, after a heated argument with his girlfriend, Shottice Jackson, everything changed in an instant. Minutes after the police had arrived and left the scene, thinking the situation had calmed down, Shottice made a decision that would haunt everyone forever. In a moment of rage, she climbed into her SUV, slammed the gas pedal, and drove straight into Mickese, pinning him against the house. Despite the frantic efforts of emergency responders, Mickese could not survive the brutal attack. The family, who had been gathered together to celebrate, was left shattered, and 5 children were left without their father.
Right now, Shottice Jackson is now charged with capital murder. 3340's Kyra Purvis was in court. She joins us live in Birmingham. Kyra, what's the latest?
Well, Stoney, Jackson was seen by Judge Bell this morning. Now, she told the court that her mother has found an attorney to represent her, but no name was given as to who. Now, because of this, Judge Bell scheduled a new appearance date of April 30th. That gives that attorney time to file a notice of appearance. Now, Jackson could be seen in court today smiling and mouthing words to those inside the courtroom. And when she approached Judge Bell, she seemed to be speaking pretty clearly and confidently. Now, the court clerk tells me Jackson is expected to make another appearance in court today in front of Judge Hudson. Those proceedings are actually scheduled to start right now at 11 o'clock. Now, we do have a crew inside that is keeping us up to date on what's happening there. And we'll make sure to bring you all of that information on air and online as soon as we receive it. For now, live in Jefferson County, Kyra Purvis, ABC 3340 News.
I haven't seen any pictures. His family's here, so I'll be
She has 2 traffic.
The police had been called earlier that day, but had left just minutes before the horrific event unfolded. How could this happen? Why did the situation spiral out of control so quickly? The answers to these questions only made the tragedy more painful and confusing. This shocking event raises many questions. What drives someone to commit such an unforgivable act? What could have been done to prevent it? And, most importantly, how can we ensure that no one else has to experience such a heartbreaking loss? Stay with us as we unravel this shocking story and uncover the heartbreaking details of what led to this senseless loss. If you enjoy real crime stories that uncover the truth, don't forget to subscribe. Your support helps us share real cases, spread awareness, and give a voice to those who can't speak for themselves. Before we begin, let us know in the comments, where are you watching from? And what are your thoughts as the story unfolds? Welcome to True Crime Tales, where we reveal the crimes that shock communities and the secrets hidden behind closed doors. These are real people, real events, real consequences. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Now let's begin. Mickese Bostic was a father to 5 children. He loved them very much and always worked hard to take care of them. Every day, he made sure his kids were safe, happy, and healthy. Mickese wasn't just a dad at home. He was also someone who helped other people. He worked as a juvenile detention officer, which means he worked with young people who had made bad choices. His job was to teach them how to make better decisions, so they wouldn't get into trouble again. Mickese believed that everyone, no matter what mistakes they had made, could always learn and grow. At work, Mickese helped kids who were sometimes upset or angry. He would talk to them and show them how they could change their behavior and start making good choices. Mickese knew that even when people did bad things, they could still do better in the future. He didn't give up on anyone, and that's what made him a special person. He didn't just see the bad things people did. He also saw the good things they could do in the future. Outside of work, Mickese was known as a kind and caring person. He didn't just care about his family, but he also cared about everyone around him. People in his community trusted him and looked up to him. They knew that if they needed help, Mickese would be there. Whether it was helping his neighbors with something or just being a friend, Mickese was always ready to help. He wanted to make the world a better place for children and families. He wanted to show people that being kind, caring, and thoughtful could make a big difference. Mickese was also someone who always tried to be a good example for his kids. He wanted to show them how to be kind, responsible, and honest. Mickese believed that children should grow up knowing right from wrong. He spent a lot of time with his kids, teaching them important lessons about life. He made sure they knew that no matter what happened, he would always be there to support them. He wanted to give them the best life he could, full of love, safety, and care. His friends and family knew how much he loved his children. Mickese was always there for them, whether it was cheering them on at school events, helping with homework, or just spending time together at home. He didn't want his kids to feel alone or scared. Mickese worked hard every day to give them a stable and loving home. One of the most important things Mickese taught his kids was how to be a good person. He showed them that you should treat others with kindness, respect, and fairness. He told them that even when things are hard, you should always try your best to do the right thing. Mickese didn't just talk about being a good person. He lived it. He treated everyone he met with care, and his kids learned from him. The community also saw Mickese as a role model. They respected him for the way he treated people and for the work he did to help young people. Many people in his neighborhood admired how Mickese took care of his family and worked hard to make a positive difference in his job. They saw him as someone who cared not only about his own family, but about the well-being of everyone around him. Mickese wanted to help make the world a better place by teaching children and by being a good dad and a good friend to everyone. Mickese Bostic was more than just a father. He was a friend, a helper, and a role model to everyone around him. His work and his love for his family made him an important part of his community. He showed everyone how to be caring and how to help others. Mickese believed that people could always do better if given a chance, and he worked hard to make the world a better place, one person at a time. On Easter Sunday, something sad happened at Mickese Bostic's house. It was supposed to be a special day to spend time with family and enjoy each other's company, but instead, Mickese and his girlfriend, Shatice Jackson, got into a big argument. At first, the argument was about something small, maybe something that wouldn't normally cause much trouble. But as they kept arguing, it quickly became bigger. The words they said started to hurt feelings, and everyone in the house began to feel uncomfortable and upset. Sometimes, when people argue, things can get out of hand, and it's hard to know when to stop. In this case, the argument grew bigger than either Mickese or Shatice expected. Mickese and Shatice were not getting along that day. The argument grew louder, and soon everyone in the house could hear them. The kids, who were supposed to be enjoying Easter with their dad, were upset too. They didn't understand what was going on, but they knew something wasn't right. The whole atmosphere in the house felt tense and uncomfortable. As the argument went on, the words exchanged between Mickese and Shatice became hurtful. Sometimes when people argue, they say things they don't really mean. The disagreement turned into a big fight. Things started to feel out of control, and neither Mickese nor Shatice knew how to calm down. In a moment like this, it's easy for things to get worse. When two people are angry, they might say things that make the other person even angrier. The fight continued to grow until it became more than just words. It went from a small disagreement to something much bigger. At this point, the situation was not just between Mickese and Shatice. The whole house was affected by the fight. The kids were scared, not understanding why their parents were fighting. The noise and tension filled the space, and everything seemed to be falling apart. In many homes, when an argument happens, it's normal for people to get upset, but the important thing is to figure out how to stop the fight before it gets out of control. Arguing is something everyone does from time to time, whether it's with a friend, a sibling, or a parent. Arguments happen in all families, but what happens next is what matters. Have you ever argued with someone you care about? Maybe with a friend or a family member. Sometimes we get upset, and it's easy for small problems to turn into bigger ones. But it's always best to try and find a way to talk calmly before things get out of control. It's important to understand that when people argue, they don't always mean to hurt each other. But once words are said, they can't be taken back. That's why it's good to know how to stop before things go too far. So, what do you think is the best way to stop a fight before it gets bigger? How do we talk to each other without getting so mad? Earlier in the day, the argument between Mickese and Shotice was so loud and upsetting that someone called the police. The police arrived quickly to try and help. They wanted to make sure that the situation didn't get worse. When police come to help during a fight, they try to calm things down and make sure everyone is safe. But after a while, the police decided to leave. They thought everything was calm again and that Mickese and Shotice had worked things out. Unfortunately, they didn't stay to make sure everything was really okay. Sometimes, when the police leave too soon, it's hard to know if everyone is safe. In this case, leaving wasn't the right choice. What do you think would have happened if the police had stayed longer? Could they have done something to make sure everyone was really safe? Sometimes, people think everything is fine, but it's hard to know for sure unless you stay and check. Just a few minutes after the police left, something terrible happened. Shotice, who was still very angry, went to her car, an SUV. In that moment, she made a decision that would change everything. Instead of talking calmly, she got into her SUV and drove it toward Mickese. In her anger, she didn't think about the consequences. She ran over Mickese with her car. It was a shocking moment. Mickese was pinned between the car and the house. His family and neighbors were shocked and scared. They quickly called for help. Emergency responders arrived quickly, but it was too late. Despite all the effort to help Mickese, he could not survive. He had been badly hurt, and no one could save him in time. This is such a sad and tragic event. One moment, everything was okay, and the next, Mickese was gone. Why do you think the police left without making sure everything was okay? Could they have stopped this from happening if they had stayed longer? Sometimes when people don't feel safe, it's important to keep checking and not just assume everything is fine. This event also makes us think about how dangerous anger can be. In this case, Shotice's anger led to something that could never be undone. Anger can cause people to make bad choices, and that's why it's so important to know how to manage our feelings. What could have been done to stop this from happening? Do you think there was something that could have been done to help Shotice feel better or help Mickese stay safe? Sometimes, talking about our feelings, asking for help, or taking a deep breath can stop things from getting worse. It's important to remember that being angry doesn't solve problems, but finding a calm way to deal with anger can make a big difference. When Mickese Bostic was killed, it left a huge hole in the hearts of many, especially his family. Mickese was a father to 5 children. These children loved him very much. He was always there for them, taking care of them and making sure they had everything they needed. But now, because of what happened, they don't have their father anymore. Losing him was very sad for them. Mickese worked hard every day to be a good dad and a good person. He wasn't just a father home. He also worked as a juvenile detention officer. This means he worked with young people who made bad choices and helped them find a better way to live. He wanted to help them grow up to make good decisions, just like he tried to help his own children. Mickese cared about the people around him. His job showed how much he wanted to make the world better, especially for kids. His family and friends couldn't believe that something so terrible could happen to such a good man. They had never thought something like this would happen. It's hard to understand why anyone would want to hurt someone who was so kind and worked so hard to help others. Micke's 5 children will grow up without their dad. They will miss his love and care every day. Mickese was a person that people admired and looked up to. The community is still shocked by what happened. People in the neighborhood remember him as someone who tried to make a difference. Losing him left many people heartbroken because they had lost someone who cared so much about everyone. After Mickese was run over by Shatice Jackson's SUV, the police arrested her. They charged her with capital murder, which is a very serious crime. This means that Shatice could face a lot of time in prison if she is found guilty of what she did. She was taken to jail, and now the police are trying to figure out exactly what happened. The investigation is ongoing, which means the police are still looking for answers. People in the community are asking why Shatice did such a thing. They want to know what made her so angry that she would hurt someone like this. It's hard for many people to understand why someone would act in such a violent way. Shatice and Mickese were in a relationship, and it is hard to imagine how things got so bad between them that it led to this tragedy. When something like this happens, people always wonder what could have been done to prevent it. Could someone have stepped in earlier to help before it went too far? Could the police have stayed longer at the scene when they were called? People are asking many questions to try to understand why something like this happened. This is an important question to think about. When someone does something bad, like hurting another person, there are usually consequences. But what should those consequences be? Should someone who hurts another person always go to jail? Should they get help to understand why they did it? It's important to think about how we deal with people who hurt others, so we can help stop this from happening again. Sometimes, when people get really angry or upset, they do things they don't mean to do. Shatice might not have planned to hurt Mickese, but her anger made her act in a way that caused harm. It's important to think about how we can stop these kind of things from happening. Can people learn how to deal with their anger better? Can we help people talk about their problems before they get so upset? If we can find ways to help people handle their emotions, maybe we can stop them from doing things they'll regret. What happened to Mickese Bostic is a very sad story, and it leaves many people asking important questions. His family will always remember him for the good man he was, and his children will always miss their dad. Shatice's actions have left many wondering why something like this happened and how it could have been prevented. But these questions are not just about Shatice or Mickese. They are about everyone. How can we stop people from hurting each other? How can we help people make better choices before it's too late? Thinking about these questions is important because it helps us all understand how we can make the world a safer place. We all have a part to play in making sure that no one else suffers from this kind of tragedy. By talking about it and helping others when they need it, we can try to stop things like this from happening again. Domestic violence is when someone hurts or scares the people they live with. This can happen in families, and it is never okay. It doesn't matter who it is. It's not right for anyone to hurt someone else, especially someone they love. Domestic violence can be physical, like when someone hits or pushes another person, or it can be emotional, where someone says things that make others feel bad or scared. When a person feels angry, upset, or hurt, sometimes they might take it out on the people close to them, but that's not the right way to solve problems. Instead of hurting someone, it's better to talk about the problem or ask for help. No one should ever feel unsafe at home, the place where we should feel the most protected. If you ever feel scared or unsafe at home, it's very important to talk to someone you trust. That could be a teacher, a friend, or even a family member who can help. There are also special people who can help in these situations, like social workers or counselors, who can help families work through problems safely and peacefully. Sometimes, people who are hurting others need help to stop. When someone is angry or upset, they might not know what to do. They might need help learning how to talk about their feelings without getting violent. This is why it's important to have places where people can go for support. There are places called support centers, where people can talk to someone about their feelings. These places help families deal with difficult situations, and they make sure everyone is safe. If someone is scared, they can call a special phone number called a hotline, which is a number you can call for help right away. This number is for anyone who is feeling unsafe or needs advice on what to do next. Sometimes, families may not know where to go for help, but communities can work together to make sure everyone has a safe place to go. This means that schools, local governments, and neighbors can help by creating safe spaces where people who are hurt or scared can find help. Everyone needs to be kind and care about others, so that no one feels alone when they're in trouble. What would you do if you saw someone being hurt by someone they loved? How can we help families who are having problems at home? Mickese Bostic's death is a reminder how important it is to make sure that everyone is safe, especially at home. He was a loving father who wanted the best for his children and his community. His family and friends will always remember him as someone who cared for others and worked hard for a better future. When someone is hurt by someone they live with, it's not just the person who is hurt who suffers, but everyone around them too. Families, friends, and entire communities can be affected by violence in the home. But the good news is that everyone can help stop it before it happens. We can all work together to make sure that homes are safe places for everyone. If you ever see someone being hurt or if you feel scared, there are people who can help. You can also help by being kind and supportive to those around you. If you see someone in trouble, don't be afraid to ask if they need help. It's important to let people know they are not alone. Everyone deserves to feel safe, loved, and cared for. Mickese Bostic's story reminds us of how important it is to make sure that no one feels hurt or scared in their own home. We should all try to be kind and make the world a better, safer place for everyone. What can we do to make the world a better, safer place for everyone? How can you be a good friend and help someone who is in trouble? If you found this story as gripping and heartbreaking as we did, don't forget to like this video and share it with others. And if you want to hear more true crime stories that uncover the mysteries behind these tragic events, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. You won't want to miss our latest stories, updates, and discussions. Thank you for joining us on this journey to seek justice and explore the truth. Together, we can make a difference. Until next time, stay safe and stay aware. On the morning of March 19th, 2025, a man was found dead outside his Philadelphia home, wrapped in a plastic sheet, with a gun resting on his chest. His name was Jordan Baxter, a father of 3, a senior SEPTA engineer with 14 years of service. The scene was quiet, calculated, and suspicious. Hours later, his wife, Danielle Baxter, was arrested. The crime scene told a different story from the initial appearance. Blood was found on a mattress inside the home. Investigators concluded the body had been moved, dragged outside, and placed between 2 cars. If this was a suicide, why stage the scene? Just days earlier, Danielle had posted a cryptic Facebook message about women plotting on other people's marriages and meant allow it to happen. It wasn't taken seriously until Jordan ended up dead.
The medical examiner's office determined that Baxter died from a gunshot to the back of his head. The next day, Jordan's wife of 12 years and mother to their 3 children was arrested and charged with murder.
This case was more than a domestic dispute. It was a series of red flags ignored, a motive never publicly confirmed, and a chilling example of what happens when appearances are deceiving. Jordan had no known history of violence. Danielle had no criminal record, but something behind closed doors exploded, and one of them ended up dead. What triggered this fatal turning point? Was it jealousy, revenge, or long-buried tension? Was this murder premeditated or an act of desperation? And what did that Facebook post really mean? Do you believe this was a calculated murder or a situation that escalated out of control? Stay with us as we unravel this shocking story and uncover the heartbreaking details of what led to this senseless loss. If you enjoy real crime stories that uncover the truth, don't forget to subscribe. Your support helps us share real cases, spread awareness, and give a voice to those who can't speak for themselves. Before we begin, let us know in the comments, where are you watching from? And what are your thoughts as the story unfolds? Welcome to True Crime Tales, where we reveal the crimes that shock communities and the secrets hidden behind closed doors. These are real people, real events, real consequences. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Now, let's begin. Jordan Baxter was 38 years old at the time of his death. He worked as a SEPTA regional rail engineer in Philadelphia for over 14 years. Those who worked with him described him as dependable, quiet, and focused. He was known for arriving on time, following procedures, and avoiding workplace drama. He didn't socialize much, rarely shared personal details, and remained professional during every shift. Jordan lived in the Andorra section of Philadelphia with his wife, Danielle Baxter, and their 3 children. To the outside world, he was a committed family man. No complaints or red flags had ever surfaced at work or in public records. His name wasn't associated with criminal charges, public disputes, or police reports. According to those around him, Jordan didn't display any signs of mental illness or emotional instability. There were no known domestic violence accusations filed against him. He maintained a low profile on social media, and there's no record of aggressive or inflammatory posts under his name. Co-workers noted that he rarely spoke about his home life or his relationship with Danielle. He wasn't the kind of person to make his personal business public, which left many questions unanswered when the news of his death surfaced. How much do we ever really know about someone's home life, especially when they stay quiet? Danielle Baxter was 39 years old at the time of her arrest. Like Jordan, she had no prior criminal record. Public records show no signs of prior legal trouble, protective orders, or domestic complaints involving her or her household. On the surface, the couple seemed stable. They had been married for several years and were raising 3 children together. Neighbors described the Baxters as quiet and normal. There were no known domestic disturbances reported at the residence on Bells Mill Road. There weren't any prior signs of violence or turmoil that led police to the home before March 19, 2025. Their children were in school and had no reported welfare concerns with Child Protective Services. But while the marriage seemed typical on the outside, subtle signs began to emerge online. Unlike Jordan, Danielle was more active on social media. Her posts were not always direct, but occasionally carried emotional or cryptic undertones. She didn't name names, but some messages suggested tension or betrayal. These posts were often interpreted as general relationship commentary until the murder occurred. In the days leading up to Jordan's death, Danielle posted a message to Facebook that would later raise serious questions. These females out here be plotting on your marriage and waiting for your downfall so they can come right on in and these men let them. This post quickly circulated after the murder. It suggested Danielle felt threatened, possibly by another woman. The tone implied infidelity or betrayal, although no names or specific incidents were mentioned. Investigators took note of the post, but did not officially confirm a motive. Still, the timeline raised eyebrows. The cryptic message came just days before Jordan was found dead between 2 parked vehicles outside their home. The nature of the post also led to divided interpretations. Some believed it was a warning, a sign of emotional distress. Others viewed it as a calculated narrative designed to frame herself as a betrayed spouse before taking action. Danielle did not delete the post after Jordan's death, and she did not issue any public explanation before her arrest. No text messages, calls, or digital communications made public confirm an affair, but the post alone suggested internal marital strain. Despite the seemingly normal household, the Baxters were likely dealing with private issues not visible to neighbors, co-workers, or extended family. No police calls had been previously made to the Baxter home, and there were no restraining orders, therapy sessions, or separation filings on record. The marriage was legally intact. The children were living under the same roof with both parents. But the post suggested Danielle had strong feelings about betrayal, and those feelings preceded Jordan's death. Was this Facebook post a cry for help, a warning, or part of a plan? At 7:42 a.m. on March 19th, 2025, a 911 call was made reporting an unresponsive man lying between 2 parked vehicles in the Andorra section of Philadelphia. Responding officers from the Philadelphia Police Department arrived on the 800 block of Bells Mill Road. There, they discovered the body of 38-year-old Jordan Baxter, a SEPTA engineer and father of 3. The body was covered with a plastic sheet and positioned on the pavement between 2 parked cars. A firearm was found placed on top of his chest. There were no immediate signs of a struggle at that outdoor location. The weapon's position and lack of external wounds visible through the plastic prompted police to initially consider the possibility of suicide. The area was cordoned off, and homicide detectives were called in due to inconsistencies at the scene. The body was removed and sent for autopsy. Preliminary results indicated a single gunshot wound to the back of the head, an injury inconsistent with typical suicide angles. Gunshot residue tests on Jordan's hands later came back negative. This further raised doubts about the self-inflicted gunshot theory. The gun was tested, and investigators started working backward to reconstruct the sequence of events. Investigators returned to the Baxter residence, located adjacent to where the body was found. Upon entering home, they observed no signs of forced entry or disturbance. However, in the master bedroom, police discovered a blood-stained mattress. A strong odor of cleaning products was noted, suggesting an attempt to sanitize the area. The scene indicated shooting had occurred indoors, and efforts were made to conceal or redirect the crime. There were no drag marks leading from the bedroom to the street. Investigators theorized that Jordan's body had been wrapped in plastic and carried out, possibly by a single person or with assistance. Surveillance footage from nearby residences and SEPTA vehicle dash cams was reviewed. While no footage showed the exact moment of the body being moved, police believe the relocation occurred sometime in the early morning hours. Blood spatter analysis confirmed that the victim was shot while lying on the bed. The angle and distance of the gunshot suggested the shooter was standing above or beside the bed. No shell casings were found in the room, suggesting that the weapon used was either revolver type or the casings were intentionally removed post-shooting. Police ruled the outdoor scene as staged. The position of the body, the gun placed neatly on the chest, and the plastic wrap were all indicators of intentional misdirection. The gun, which was registered under Danielle Baxter's name, became central to the investigation. Hours after discovering the body and processing the scene, police arrested Danielle Baxter. She was charged with murder, abuse of a corpse, and possession of an instrument of crime. Why would someone move a body outside and place a gun on the chest, if not to stage a suicide? While processing the Baxter home and gathering digital evidence, investigators obtained access to Danielle Baxter's social media accounts. One Facebook post stood out. It was dated just days before the incident. "These females out here be plotting on your marriage and waiting for your downfall so they can come right on in, and these men let them." The post was public. It quickly gained attention after Danielle's arrest. Online users and investigators alike began to speculate about the context and underlying message of the statement. Law enforcement did not confirm whether infidelity had occurred, but the tone of the post suggested Danielle may have been dealing with personal tension or insecurity within the marriage. The phrasing indicated suspicion toward another woman and implied frustration with her husband's behavior or attention toward others. Investigators flagged the post as relevant to motive and timeline analysis. In the days following the murder, police conducted interviews with relatives, co-workers, and neighbors. Accounts varied. Some described the couple as quiet and functional, without signs of violence or disruption. Others, however, referenced increasing tension in the household. One unnamed co-worker stated that Jordan had seemed distracted in recent weeks and mentioned problems at home, though he did not elaborate. Danielle's friends told investigators that she had made vague complaints about feeling undervalued and hinted at betrayal, though again, there was no direct evidence of infidelity. One friend, who chose to remain anonymous, said Danielle believed someone was trying to take her husband away. Jordan's co-workers at SEPTA stated that he had never discussed relationship issues. No harassment complaints or records of domestic disturbances were found in the police database. Both parties had no known criminal records. Despite the suggestive nature of the Facebook post, authorities have not officially stated a motive. In the absence of confession or direct digital evidence of intent, Danielle's defense could argue that the post is circumstantial and open to interpretation. No suicide note was found in the home, nor was there any written or verbal statement from Danielle acknowledging involvement. She did not post anything after the murder, and her social media accounts remained silent in the hours between Jordan's death and her arrest. The prosecution believes a Facebook post may demonstrate premeditation or at least emotional instability, but the defense could claim it was unrelated venting or unrelated to any concrete action. The post was time-stamped but not explicitly linked to Jordan, nor did it contain threats. As of now, no other individuals have been named in connection with the case. The gun was determined to be legally owned by Danielle, and no history of firearm training or self-defense classes was identified. The court may consider the social media post as part of a broader picture, one involving possible jealousy, marital strain, or perceived betrayal. However, without a direct confession or more tangible evidence, motive remains speculative. Can a single post on social media be enough to point to a motive? Danielle Baxter was arrested within hours of her husband's body being discovered. Police took her into custody without incident. There were no signs of resistance or attempt to flee. She remained at the property after the body was found and did not attempt to conceal her presence. The Philadelphia Police Department confirmed that Danielle was arrested on suspicion of murder based on preliminary evidence found inside the couple's home. Shortly after her detainment, formal charges were filed against her. The charges included first-degree murder, indicating that investigators believed the killing was deliberate and premeditated. Additional charges included abuse of a corpse, due to the post-mortem relocation of Jordan Baxter's body, and possession of an instrument of crime, referring to a firearm allegedly used in the homicide. The district attorney's office moved quickly. During the arraignment, the prosecution requested that bail be denied. The court agreed. Danielle was held without bail pending further proceedings. According to court documents, the prosecution cited compelling forensic evidence and intentional body staging as key reasons for treating the case as a homicide and not a self-inflicted death. At the time of her first court appearance, Danielle Baxter did not appear to have retained a private attorney. A public defender was appointed to represent her. The defense team has not publicly disclosed their strategy. There were no initial statements from the defense. The prosecution made their position clear. In official documents and press briefings, they asserted that this was not an accidental death and not a suicide. They alleged that Danielle had intentionally shot Jordan in the head while he was either sleeping or otherwise incapacitated, moved his body outside to the driveway, placed it between two parked cars, and staged it to look like a suicide by placing a firearm on his chest. So far, no confession has been made. No written note has been discovered. No eyewitnesses have come forward. The prosecution is relying on forensic data and circumstantial details to build a foundation of premeditation. Does the physical evidence override the absence of a clear motive? At this point in the case, no official motive has been stated, but prosecutors have emphasized that motive, while relevant to the narrative, is not legally required to secure a murder conviction. The burden is to prove the act was intentional, not to explain why it happened. The forensic details of this case present a consistent pattern. This was not a suicide, and the scene was deliberately staged. Investigators began with the body placement. Jordan Baxter was found on a plastic sheet between two vehicles in the driveway of the couple's residence. A firearm was placed neatly on his chest. His body position appeared controlled. There were no signs of struggle around the immediate area where the body was found. Police noted that the body was not in a natural collapse posture typically associated with gunshot trauma. The medical examiner's report revealed that Jordan suffered a single gunshot wound to the back of the head. The bullet entered at an angle that would be extremely difficult, if not physically impossible, to self-inflict. The entry wound location, trajectory, and powder burn patterns pointed to a shot fired at close range by someone standing behind him. The cause of death was classified as homicide. Gunshot residue testing was performed on Jordan's hands. The results showed no gunpowder residue, suggesting he did not discharge a firearm. The absence of residue further discredits the initial impression of suicide. Inside the house, the evidence expanded. Police found a blood-soaked mattress in the couple's bedroom. The pattern of blood pooling indicated that the shooting likely occurred there. Despite attempts to clean other areas of the home, the mattress remained unaltered. DNA testing confirmed the blood belonged to Jordan Baxter. Blood transfer patterns were also found leading from the bedroom to garage and outside, consistent with the theory that the body was dragged or carried post-mortem. There were no signs of forced entry at the residence. No valuables were taken. Nothing in the house was disturbed in a way that would suggest a robbery or break-in. Police concluded this was not a crime committed by an outside intruder. The autopsy also confirmed the absence of defensive wounds on Jordan's body. His hands, arms, and torso bore no bruises, cuts, or indicators of physical struggle. This suggested two possibilities. Either Jordan was ambushed in his sleep, or he was attacked at a moment when he was not anticipating harm, possibly seated or turned away from a shooter. Ballistic testing matched the firearm found on Jordan's chest of the bullet retrieved from his skull. The gun had no clear ownership record and was not registered in either spouse's name. Fingerprint analysis was inconclusive due to smearing, but partial prints were lifted for further lab analysis. This combination of evidence led authorities to formally reject the theory of suicide. The physical logistics did not align. A person shot in the back of the head at close range, while showing no gunshot residue on their hands, would be unlikely to have fired the weapon themselves. The strategic body placement, along with the effort to move the corpse and stage the scene, pointed to deliberate action after death. Does the back of the head shot eliminate the theory of suicide altogether? Experts consulted by media outlets noted that back-of-the-head gunshot suicides are statistically rare and often logistically improbable. In most documented self-inflicted gunshot deaths, the mouth, temple, or underchin are the most common entry points. Additionally, the absence of a suicide note and the placement of the body on a plastic sheet, rather than collapsing naturally, only strengthen the theory that this was a cover-up. The presence of blood inside the home, the clean plastic sheet, and the linear drag marks between the bedroom and the garage were all treated as forensic evidence of post-mortem body manipulation. At this stage of the case, the forensic evidence is the most substantial piece of the prosecution strategy. The prosecution has yet to disclose digital evidence such as search history, text messages, or further social media interactions, but analysts expect those records to be part of trial discovery. Despite lacking a clear motive, investigators are moving forward with the theory that the shooting was intentional and the staging was meant to delay or prevent immediate suspicion. The legal outcome would depend on whether a jury finds a forensic story convincing enough to secure a conviction for premeditated murder. After Jordan Baxter was found shot to death and his wife Danielle was arrested for his murder, the immediate focus of investigators and the public shifted to one unavoidable question: what would happen to the 3 children they left behind? The couple shared 3 children together. Their names and ages have not been released publicly, likely to protect their identities. What is confirmed is that they were present in the home during the time of the incident or shortly thereafter. This presents legal and logistical complications. With their mother in jail and their father deceased, they were left without a primary caregiver. In such cases, the state typically intervenes through Child Protective Services. Authorities conduct a welfare check and assess immediate safety needs. The first decision is emergency placement. Temporary guardianship may be given to a relative, such as a grandparent, aunt, or uncle, if they meet the requirements of the Department of Human Services. If no suitable family members are available or willing, the children are placed in foster care until a long-term plan is decided through family court. In this case, local news outlets did not release the names or exact location of the children, and authorities have kept their status sealed. However, based on standard procedure, it's likely the children were either placed with relatives or in temporary protective custody under court supervision. Psychological evaluation becomes the next step. Any children who experience a violent domestic incident or are exposed to the aftermath of such violence are referred for trauma screening. These evaluations determine the level of emotional support needed. Counseling, behavioral therapy, and educational accommodations may be part of their ongoing care. The long-term impact of parental loss, particularly from interfamilial violence, is well documented, and services are usually provided through state-funded agencies or nonprofit trauma recovery programs. Meanwhile, a GoFundMe campaign was launched by extended family members to assist with the children's future needs. The fundraiser cited educational support, counseling costs, and long-term housing as priorities. It did not mention Danielle or Jordan by name in detail, likely to avoid legal issues and media attention. As of the latest update, the campaign had raised several $1,000s, though exact amounts fluctuate based on visibility and public engagement. This situation raises broader legal and ethical questions. When a parent is accused of killing the other parent, how should the justice system respond? Not to the alleged perpetrator, but to the children. Should children receive state-funded support for trauma caused by their parents' alleged actions? Should parental rights be immediately terminated upon arrest or only upon conviction? These are policy issues that vary by state and are decided case by case. How should the justice system support children of alleged perpetrators? Should trauma care and funding be automatic? Or should courts wait until after conviction is secured? The murder of Jordan Baxter and the arrest of his wife Danielle sparked immediate interest in the local media. The earliest coverage came from 6 ABC Action News, a prominent Philadelphia news station. They reported the crime scene details: the body found between 2 parked vehicles, the gun placed on Jordan's chest, and the arrest of his wife within hours. The initial reports also cited blood inside the home, prompting speculation that the scene had been staged to look like a suicide. The Root, a national black news and commentary outlet, picked up the story shortly after. Their focus was on the Facebook post Danielle made days before the incident. It read, "These females out here be plotting on your marriage and waiting for your downfall so they can come right on in, and these men let them." The post was interpreted by many as a warning or a possible sign of mental strain. The Root highlighted the social context, questioning whether emotional distress or jealousy may have been factors, though law enforcement has not released an official motive. People magazine followed with a more mainstream summary of the case, emphasizing mysterious elements: the staged body, the Facebook post, and the lack of known motive. Their coverage included quotes from police, details about the investigation, and a link to the children's GoFundMe page. Despite this coverage, the case has not received widespread national attention. It has not been featured on major platforms like CNN, MSNBC, or Fox News. It has not gone viral on TikTok or YouTube the way other domestic murder cases have. Social media discussion has been scattered. On Facebook, local residents share condolences and questions. On Reddit and Twitter, speculation emerged. Was this a crime of passion? Was Danielle suffering from untreated mental illness? Was there infidelity involved? Debate intensified around the Facebook post. Some users interpreted it as a motive or a warning. Others believe it was a reflection of emotional distress, not a literal indicator of intent. Without additional statements from Danielle or released communications between the couple, the online community was left to speculate. Another angle of online discourse focused on gender dynamics. In many domestic murder cases where the male is the perpetrator, media framing tends to focus on the victim. In this case, some users noted that Danielle was not publicly villainized in the same way, raising questions about double standards in media portrayal. Community response was also significant. Jordan's co-workers at SEPTA released a statement expressing condolences. He had worked there for 14 years and was regarded as dependable. Neighbors expressed shock, stating that the couple had appeared stable. No history of loud arguments, no police calls, no previous signs of violence. Extended family members gave limited public statements, possibly due to legal counsel. Some confirmed that the children were being cared for, but did not elaborate on custody arrangements or internal family dynamics. The question remains, why do some domestic homicide cases explode into national media events, while others fade into background noise? Several factors influence this. The presence of video footage, social media virality, race, gender, prior criminal history, and location all play roles in determining how far a story spreads. In this case, despite the unusual circumstances, the staged crime scene, the cryptic post, and the children left behind, national media has remained mostly silent. Why do some domestic violence murders get national attention while others disappear? Does media attention depend on the victim's profile, the method of the murder, or just luck? After the discovery of Jordan Baxter's body on March 19, 2025, and the forensic evidence linking the crime scene back to the family home, police moved quickly. Danielle Baxter was arrested within 24 hours and formally charged with first-degree murder, abuse of a corpse, and possession of an instrument of crime. Danielle appeared for her initial arraignment at the Philadelphia Municipal Court. During the hearing, prosecutors emphasized the seriousness of the charges and the strength of the evidence. They cited the blood-soaked mattress inside the home, the placement of the gun on Jordan's chest, and the suspicious staging of the body. The judge denied bail, labeling Danielle a flight risk and a potential danger to others. She was remanded to the Kern-from-Hold Correctional Facility pending further hearings. Her next court appearance occurred 2 weeks later, where her legal team entered a not guilty plea. The defense requested a psychological evaluation to determine her mental state at the time of the incident. This move suggested the potential development of a mental health-based offense, possibly temporary insanity or diminished capacity. However, no medical reports have been made public to support these claims at this time. The prosecution continues to build its case around three core pillars: forensic evidence, Danielle's social media behavior, and a constructed timeline of events. Investigators assert that the gunshot wound the back of Jordan's head, the absence of gunpowder residue on his hands, and the blood trail leading from the house to the body location support the theory of a planned execution followed by a cover-up. They also intend to introduce Danielle's Facebook post, made just days before the incident, as evidence of motive or premeditated intent. Should a cryptic Facebook post be admissible as evidence in court? If admitted, that post. These females out here be plotting on your marriage and waiting for your downfall so they can come right on in and these men let them, could be used to argue that Danielle had suspicions of infidelity and was emotionally disturbed in the days leading up to the murder. Currently, both sides are preparing for a possible trial. A plea deal is not off the table, but any agreement would likely still include significant prison time due to the severity of the offense. Danielle has not made any public statements or confessions since her arrest. No known witness has come forward with testimony indicating self-defense or mitigating circumstances. Despite the official charges and mounting evidence, this case still leaves behind several unresolved issues. There's been no official timeline of escalating conflict between Jordan and Danielle Baxter released to the public. Police have not disclosed previous reports of domestic violence or any protective orders. If the murder was premeditated, what triggered the decision to act on it in that specific moment? The Facebook post may be a clue, but by itself, it's not definitive. It reveals frustration or suspicion, but not necessarily intent to kill. The absence of additional messages, texts, or witness accounts makes it difficult to determine whether this was a boiling point after years of tension or an isolated incident. The manner in which the body was staged suggests deliberate effort. Placing Jordan's body between two cars on a plastic sheet with firearm positioned neatly on his chest shows planning. But the blood-soaked mattress left behind in the house suggests panic or oversight. If this was planned, why wasn't the scene cleaned more thoroughly? Why leave a clear trail of evidence? If it was spontaneous, why go through the effort of staging the body to look like a suicide? The forensic team concluded that Jordan was likely shot while asleep or unaware, based on trajectory of the bullet and lack of defensive wounds. This supports a theory of ambush rather than confrontation. Friends and neighbors have not publicly indicated any visible signs of serious marital problems. No calls to police, no restraining orders, no legal records of counseling or disputes. Social media posts were vague but not alarming. The couple appeared stable to outsiders. It raises a question of whether there were internal signs, emotional, financial, psychological, that were either ignored or hidden from view. Without a confession, any theory remains incomplete. If Danielle Baxter continues to maintain her innocence or claims mental instability, the case will rely on circumstantial and forensic evidence. Without a full explanation from Danielle herself, the motive behind Jordan Baxter's murder will likely remain speculative. In cases like this, do you believe the absence of a motive should result in lighter sentencing? Jordan Baxter, 38, was a respected SEPTA engineer and a father of 3. He was found dead on March 19, 2025, with a gun placed on his chest between two parked cars outside his own home. An investigation revealed blood in the bedroom and signs that the body was moved post-mortem. His wife, Danielle Baxter, was arrested and charged with first-degree murder and other crimes. Days before the killing, she had posted a cryptic Facebook message about other women targeting her marriage. Legal proceedings have moved forward. Bail was denied. Danielle pleaded not guilty. Her defense may attempt to argue mental illness, while the prosecution builds a case around physical evidence and Danielle's own words. The murder of Jordan Baxter leaves behind several unanswered questions. There is no official motive. There is no confession. The public is left with body, a blood-stained mattress, a staged crime scene, and one Facebook post that may or may not be a clue to the truth. 3 children remain without a father. One parent is dead, and the other is in custody. This case is a reminder that not all violence is loud or visible. Sometimes it happens behind closed doors, with no warning signs until it's too late. Do you believe Danielle Baxter planned this murder, or was this the result of something hidden for too long? If you found this story as gripping and heartbreaking as we did, don't forget to like this video and share it with others. And if you want to hear more true crime stories that uncover the mysteries behind these tragic events, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. You won't want to miss our latest stories, updates, and discussions. Thank you for joining us on this journey to seek justice and explore the truth. Together, we can make a difference. Until next time, stay safe and stay aware.